So it is no secret that the MCU has not been in the best of places lately. And looking back at it all, most of these problems were present since the start of the multiverse saga, aka Phase 4. So this video will be the first of 3, where I try to fix the MCU by reworking each phase of movies. If you enjoyed this video, please do consider subscribing, it will help me make a ton more videos just like this. And with that said, let's get started. Now, one of the main issues Phase 4 really suffers from are the Disney Plus shows. Struggling to catch up with everything was never really an issue leading up to Endgame. And that's because all you had to do is watch a few movies a year and you're all caught up. Well, not anymore. In general, it feels like a really bad idea to make TV shows compulsory viewing, as that results in shows starting to feel like homework to understand any new Marvel movie, like Doctor Strange 2 for example. So in my Phase 4, the TV shows are gone. Now the real Phase 4 has a total of 7 movies, so my version will have 7 movies too. Now just before we start, I'm not really into comic lore. I'm much more of a movie fan, so if I get anything wrong, I do apologize. So let's kick things off with movie number 1, which will be Shang-Chi. Overall, looking at all the heroes introduced in the recent films, I feel like this character is one of the few that should stay. He feels like a pretty good fit for the Avengers, and maybe with a few tweaking here and there, his movie doesn't need a lot of changes. Wenwu is a fantastic villain, and I feel like kicking off a new phase with a new hero is a good idea. The second movie would be Captain America 4. Now Falcon and the Winter Soldier, while I think it is a pretty underrated show, definitely isn't the most necessary in understanding the bigger story. In the epilogue of Endgame, Steve passes down his mantle to Sam. This show is basically an origin story for Sam as Captain America, but if we just got Captain America 4 instead, it wouldn't really make much of a difference, as we all knew he was going to have the title in any case. So doing a Captain America story, with Bucky being the co-lead, maybe introducing our new Falcon, could serve as a great setup for the new Avengers. And then imagine this film in the style of the Winter Soldier, that would be amazing. So similar to what the upcoming Captain America 4 is going to be about, this movie could also have Ross be the villain, as Sam was obviously against the Sokovia Accords, so it would make sense for those two to be enemies. Ross could then be the secondary villain, maybe making the leader the main villain, as he was obviously teased way back in The Incredible Hulk, and just never made any appearance after that. Perhaps at the end of the movie, the lead characters could realize that the world is much safer with the Avengers, so Sam could bring together a new team of heroes, very similar to the end of Age of Ultron. These could be characters like, as mentioned above, Bucky and Falcon, bringing Rhodey too perhaps. I feel like a scene that could also be kind of cool is Sam going to recruit Hawkeye, who then declines and officially retires to be with his family that he lost for all those years, perhaps closing off that character's story. The next movie will be Loki. Loki season 1 is fantastic and it actually does work pretty well as a show. With that said, it is also a very important part of the overall story, so I feel like making it a show automatically means it is less accessible. And it only has a runtime of just over 4 hours, so trimming down some subplots like Lamentus and tweaking it a bit, the main plot of Loki could fit in a movie's length. It would then also end with the introduction of He Who Remains and the multiverse getting unleashed.
See you soon.
It's definitely a good idea to introduce the multiverse pretty early on in a saga all about it. So this would explain why the multiverses are colliding, which will eventually lead to Avengers Secret Wars. So we are only 3 movies in and we already have the setup for the multiverse saga, as we already know who the main villain is going to be, so I'd say we're doing pretty good so far. The next movie would be Spider-Man No Way Home, so now that we already have a movie about Loki which explains why the multiverses are colliding, No Way Home continues that story really well, and in all honesty this movie is fantastic and it can stay exactly as it is. Next up will be Thor 4, not Thor Love and Thunder, which is basically a live action cartoon. Instead, give us a Thor movie that yes has humor, but still has a serious and darker tone, as Gore is such a menacing villain that was really in the worst movie possible. So he ultimately felt wasted, so give him a movie where he actually feels like a threat. Similar to Love and Thunder, this movie can also show how Thor leaves the Guardians of the Galaxy and goes to battle Gore. So unlike most of the films I discussed, this one would be much more standalone. Then I think a good note for this movie to end on would be Thor returning to Earth. You will see why in a little bit. The second last movie would be Black Panther Wakanda Forever, another movie that I think is great and doesn't really need any changes. Then lastly, the phase would end with Avengers Secret Invasion, which would definitely be a lot better than the Secret Invasion we got. Similar to our phase 1 ended with a giant team-up movie, so phase 4 shall do the same. And let's be honest, we should have at least had one Avengers movie by now. Now this will not be anything like the Secret Invasion we got, but instead more like the comic one. Many characters, a huge scale, and really an Avengers level threat. So this movie will then obviously continue the plotline of Captain Marvel. The Skrulls have now infiltrated every level of the government and are planning to overthrow the Avengers and take Earth as their own, because their own planet was obviously destroyed. So that means that some of our Avengers would end up being Skrulls. Maybe these could include characters like Rhodey and perhaps Wand too, as that would mean Doctor Strange gets to be involved as well. So now that the government has been infiltrated and the world is at war, Captain America would recruit others to join the Avengers. These would include Thor, who is now on Earth, Captain Marvel, who knows the Skrulls well of course, Doctor Strange, Hulk, and then some other side Avengers like Bucky and Falcon. The main plot of the movie could then be similar to that of the TV show. The Skrulls are trying to get their hands on the superhuman DNA that is in Nick Fury's possession. And then using that, they will create the Super Skrulls and maybe even their own Skrull Avengers, so we could literally get Avengers vs Avengers like Civil War. Then after they are defeated, the remaining Skrull refugees could be given a new home, which would of course be Thanos' retirement planet. Think about it, there's no one else there. And then at the end, all the characters replaced by Skrulls would obviously be rescued too. So looking at my Phase 4, only in 7 films, we already know who the big bad is going to be and how the multiverse got unleashed. And we have the new team of Avengers, already making much more progress than Disney did. If you like this video, be sure to subscribe as I will do one on Phase 5 too if this video does well. So I'll see you next time.